Hi everybody, the following is the reading of the book The Way of the Warrior, a novel written by Simone Marini. More on that at the end, you can find the link here on the description. Have a good listening. The crowd stops shouting and making noise when they see Shedder, the local champion, fall heavily to the ground. Every person wonders how it's possible that a 1.7 meter tall boy could be their 2.5 meter tall champion. They were convinced that after one of Shadow's blows, which can crush a ball, the fight would end, but his fist hit the air and his opponent spun around, delivering an elbow to the liver that paralyzed him, preventing him from avoiding the uppercut that would have knocked him out in a few moments. A buzz spreads through the air. Then the crowd starts shouting and celebrating the new champion again. The boy, who is wearing a long shirt with frogs and no sleeves, raises his left arm, smiling, as a sign of victory. Then a man approaches him, holding a small diary. The winner is Malky. The man hands him the notebook. By beating Shedder, the Warrior Lodge recognized Malky as the new champion of the city of Kartas. The 40 people surrounding the fighters continue to shout and celebrate. Shedder gets up, still a little dazed, and shakes the boy's hand. His gaze meets Malky's, veiled by a pair of sunglasses. "Good boy, I didn't think you had a heavy fist," says, almost laughing, the robust warrior. "Yeah," says the boy. "Never underestimate your opponent," he continues. Then everyone goes to celebrate, but Malky comes out of the crowd and heads toward the opposite side. "It's time for me to go home." The big door of the barn where they had gathered opens wide. "After all, I'm only 17 years old." Then heads the road that enters the wood. A man is running in the night. He turns around in fear. He seems to be running away from someone or something. There is a buzz in the air, and suddenly two bright eyes appears in front of him. "Where do you think you're running to?" says an electric voice. The man responds scared. What? What have I done to you?" A hysterical laugh comes from those bright eyes floating in the air. The man who was running away prepares to fight. A claw comes out of nowhere and hits him in the throat without him realizing it, causing him to fall lifeless to the ground. The eyes move away and disappear in the darkness. It is early morning in the city of Penji. The still low sun infuses orange shades into the empty street. We can hear the chimes of farmers' hoes hitting the hard ground. The smell of freshly baked bread pervades the city. Malky walks calmly in a small street lined with houses, surrounded by low terracotta bricks walls. 100, thinks the boy. 100 victory recognized by the lodge. The old man will have to listen to me now. He approaches the largest door with the highest wall. Next to it, there is a bell the size of a fist. As soon as he touches the large wooden door to open it, the boy feels like a presence behind him. "Are you already awake, Jiraku? Even after 2 days of travel, you can feel my presence." Malky turns. A good-looking boy is sitting on the wall in front of him. He is leaning with his left arm on the knee of the same side, which he keeps raised, while he lets his remaining two limbs fall dangling. He holds his head slightly tilted, letting a tuft of hair fall that partially covers his left eye. With a flick of a wrist, he makes an envelope appear between his fingers. The master told me to give this to you when you returned. Without any effort, he throws it at Malky, who promptly catches it. The teacher? The boy opens the letter and begins to read its content. Dear Malky, when you return, I will have already left to go train in the mountains, and will be away for a week, so you will have to wait that time to tell me what you had to tell me. I'm sorry. Greetings, Zoram. Damn, I think he left on purpose, Marcus supposes, smiling wickedly. Suddenly, the two hear someone running toward them, shouting breathily, Marky! Marky! He's a little boy with a worried face. Marky, where is your father? He is near in the street. He's gone, it seems, he replies by looking at the letter, then folds it and puts it in his pocket. The boy on the wall, performing a backward somersault and pushing himself with one hand, jumps down, landing behind the boy, saying, As his students, we will take his place. Marky gives a sign of approval, and they both follow him to the main square, where there are villagers muttering wordly to each other in front of a circular fountain located in the center of the square. Right sitting on the edge of the fountain is a stranger who continues to wet his face. As soon as they stand in front of him, the man almost shouts, Which of the two is Zoram the priest? Malky dejectedly replies, He is my father, and is not in the city. The stranger seems shocked, and before speaking again, throws 2 handfuls of water in his face. In our city, there have been mysterious murders, perhaps due to wild beasts or even mutated creatures. People torn apart by claws of this size, showing the size with their hands about 30 centimeters. 2 of our best warriors, he continues, have already been killed. We think that only a warrior priest can beat such a creature. And now that Zoram isn't here, dejectedly he bows his head, placing his hands on his temples, but Jiraku intervenes impetuously. We too are warrior priests. We will defeat him, Malky finishes the sentence. The two go to get ready. Malky thinks he should eat something, given that he hadn't done so in the 2 days before, after which they leave together with the stranger. Malky wears a black gloves on his right hand that leaves his fingers exposed, while on his left wrist he has a rolled wooden mala. Jiraku wears a light jacket that he leaves open, showing his muscular torso. He wears leather trousers with black boots with straps, but, like Malky's, they don't block his ankle movements. The city where they are going is not very far away, a couple of hours walking. The main road passes through farms, fields, and the smell of fresh earth mixes with that of asphalt warmed by the sun. Occasionally, horses-drawn carts pass by, carrying wood or pieces of metal. The stranger observes the 2 boys. Malky seems younger than he is due to the sweet feature of the face, constantly crossed by a smile, and his eyes always covered by the dark yellow lenses of his glasses, coordinated with his hair, which, at the sun, they take on a reflection of the same color, like streaks, with those tips that look like the feather of an eagle. Jiraku, on the other hand, has longer hair than his friend, which reaches just above his eyes, smooth and black like a panther coat, his gaze fixed straight ahead, proud, but with a peaceful expression. "My name is Liam," exclaimed the stranger. "I hadn't had time to introduce myself yet," he continues. "My village will be very grateful to you. Unfortunately, we have no warrior priest here, and the closest city is yours." The boy with glasses turns to him. "You said that two of the best warriors were defeated. What class were they in?" Liam replies, "They were just teachers." "How do you only have teachers in your villages?" asked Jirako, in amazement, accustomed since childhood to seeing elders and high priests. Yes, after all, is the fate of all the border cities. They try to import technology without altering life, but it's not possible," he replied, disappointed. After the estimated 2 hours, they arrived at their destination. The sun is now high, and its rays spread through all the streets of the city, which are animated by people walking and carts pulled by small tractors powered by solar energy. Liam takes the two boys to the morgue, where the victims of the previous evening are located. Maki and Jiraku begin to inspect the bodies, immediately noticing that every one has their jugulars torn by claws, at least 5 centimeters long. In the medical records, they read that the bodies showed muscular stiffening, which led to the assumption of a completely unrelatable time of death, since at that moment the victim had been still alive. This suggests that before they died, they were fighting or running away, Marky supposes. But since they have no sign of struggle, it means they were defeated with a single blow. So they were running away, concluded Jiraku. The boys think for a moment longer, then Maki continues. If he was running away from a beast, he would have been attacked from behind, so his enemy was in front of him. But if it had been a fierce beast, he would have beaten him in the throat, not clothed him. And if it had been a bear or a beast as tall as a man, it would have been slower and would not have been able to hit them. The teacher, at least, says Jiraku. Another short break. Conclusion, says Maki. They were running away from something that was chasing them. But they were overtaken, continues Jiraku, and then hit in the throat by a claw of at least 5 centimeters. Liam looks at them amazed. He doesn't understand how they managed to reconstruct the fact in such details and be so cold in front of those corpses. But he is even more amazed when he sees the boys with the sunglasses raise his head toward the ceiling and pass his hands a few centimeters above the corpse and then move to the one next to it, and so on for everyone, while his companion smells his wounds. There's something strange, says Maki. Yeah, I smell a metal smell. It couldn't have been an animal. The theory of the mutated remains, states Jiraku. No, if it had been a mutate, it would have left a residue of his aura in the wounds, even if it were a man with a sword, because his energy passes through it. But in these wounds, there is nothing. It seems like he hurt himself against something, alone. I don't understand. The boys ask if they can stay in the town to sleep, to study the case better. Obviously, Liam agrees and offers them hospitality at his house. For the rest of the day, they wander around the city, studying the streets and possible hiding places, and continue to think about the case. Night comes, and the two leaves Liam's house. The boys use the technique of hiding in the shadows, characteristics of their country's special troops, to move around the sleeping city without being seen. Suddenly, they perceive movements at the end of a street. They run as fast as they can. When they reach the end, they see a man who's stopping, exhausted from running without end. Then they see a bright eyes appear in front of him and hear laughter hysterical. Cursed! How did you? Leave me alone, the man says, breathless. Then an electric voice answers him. Leave you alone? It would be like catching a fish and then letting it escape. It would make no sense. Run away, Mark shouts as he runs toward the man. What? They ask themselves the eyes before being hit by a flying kick from Jiraku. At that moment, the two realize that those bright eyes, belong to a man. They are kind of glasses that go over the head instead of on the side, creating a crest of hair in the center. Furthermore, he has both metal forearms and strange cloth gloves made of the same material, which look like prosthetics. While the third man drags himself away, Jiraku lands in front of the strange guy, who backs away. Damn you, he shouts. You made my prey escape. You will have to pay with your life. He points one of his clouded hand at Jiraku, who is the closest, and it seems to detach itself from his body and fly to hit him in the throat. The boy, without even understanding how he could do it, instinctively dodges the attack, which however comes back like a boomerang, risking hitting him in the back of the head, but the boy's quick reflexes allow him to avoid it again. But how did he do it? Malky thinks as he approaches his companion. We have to disarm him, Jiraku points out to his friend just before both of the opponent's clothes fall toward him. The boy jumps in opposite direction, causing the enemy's blow to crash against the ground. Before the hands return to their owner, the two are already on top of him, and while they launch blows with the ardor of a wild beast, they see that the enemy is not using weapons, but rather his hands. This causes a moment of hesitation on Malky's part, and he's hit by a whip from the enemy's hand, causing him to step back until he crashes violently against the wall. Jiraku, taking advantage of the fact that his opponent has looked away from him, grabs him by the throat. This hold is famous in his country. They call it the Cobra Hold because of its lethal power, especially if performed by Jiraku. If you continue to hold him like this, he will probably blow his head off. But he doesn't have time. The enemy tentacle hands wrap around him, making him lose his grip. Ugh, I won't let myself be beaten so easily, thinks Jiraku in pain. Then his face changed expression, going from pained to relaxed, and he began to stare into his opponent's eyes. But what does he have in mind? Thinks the man with the mechanical arms. I can't hear his breathing anymore, but he's not dead. I don't understand what he wants to do. He can't attack me. But the boy continues to stare at him. Marky watches the scene, sitting, leaning against the wall. What a shock, he thinks as he passes a hand over the back of his head. The boy has seen that look on Jiraku other time. It is the hypnosis technique he usually uses before the match begins, or as a final technique, when both are tired. He had also tried it against Malky, but it never worked with him, because only people with lower energy than the person performing the technique can be hypnotized. Suddenly, the arms that wrap Jiraku loosen, and the boy frees says, "Who are you, and why did you kill those people?" The man's legs wobble, and he falls to the ground. Then he replies, "My name is Kilix. I am an ex-soldier of the Machine Man troops. After the war, I was unable to adapt to a life as a civilian, and since machines are not very well known in this part of the world, I thought I could continue killing without being discovered. If you entered the country, you would have had no chance of survival," Jiraku tells him. The other boys approaches him. "We can't handcuff him, but somehow we have to take him away." Having said this, he hits him between the second and third vertebra with the cut of his hand. Kilix collapses to the ground, unconscious. In the depths of the forest, there is a man sitting cross-legged in the lotus position. He has his eyes closed. He seems to be meditating. The cool night wind makes his bushy sideburns sway, and his long black hair, held together with a rough lace, flutters like a flag. The face marked by time is proof of his experience and age. In addition to a few wrinkles, the face is marked by a 10-centimeter vertical scar corresponding to the left eye. Suddenly, something interrupts his meditation. He is distracted by a presence. "What do you want?" asks the man in a meditation, still keeping his eyes closed. "Arkham wishes to meet him," replies the man who arrived behind him. "Tell him that I will never teach him my art. The boss ordered me to eliminate you if you didn't accept. You can try." The old man turns his head suddenly, and the man who came from nowhere finds himself on the ground without understanding how. "If you don't want to live anymore," he continues. The man on the ground jumps up and tries to attack him, but the old man deflects each of his blows only with his left hand. Then a slight rotation of the pelvis, a small movement of the foot, and the right hand hits his opponent like a cannon shot, making the mysterious man fly a few meters. "Don't ever disturb me again," exclaims the old man with long hair. "Don't think that Arkham will give up your art. You are not the only one possessing it," says the man as he gets up awkwardly, after which he disappears into the darkness as it had appeared. The next day, the two young people take Kilix to their city. When they arrive, he is still unconscious. They put his hands inside a kind of a Kevlar bag and then tie them well. Despite this, they know that if he had woken up, he could have caused problem anyway, so they transport him in a wagon with a cell to prisoners. They are taking him to the police station, where he will have been locked up. During the journey, they are reached and practically surrounded by children. "Hello, Malky!" exclaimed a little girl with long hair down to the nape of her neck and a braid that rests on her right cheek. She seems to be the oldest of the group. "Hi, Atwa. Don't stay too close to the cage. It might wake up," warns Maki. "Why are his hands covered?" the little girl asked, intrigued by the fact. "Because," Maki replies, "he has mechanical arms and could hurt people." Then the perplexed little girl approaches the boy with the sunglasses and, pulling the hem of his shirt, asks him, "But are machines bad?" Marky bends down to look her in the eyes, then smiling says, "No, It's men who use them badly. Come on, bring the other children to play. It's dangerous here. The little girl smiles and takes her friends away. The children of the village are very fond of Malky, since he is their martial art teacher, which, after the religion, is one of the main things for their society. So much so that the lessons are held in the church premises, which during the week, in fact, they are used as gyms or for other activities. The two young warrior priests hand Kilix over the authorities and he's taken to a maximum security prison. Finally, after a few days away, Mikey managed to return to his home. Entering from the main door, he had to pass a path before entering the building, bordered by a well-kept lawn. The front face of the house is impressive, as behind it there is a gym where Zoram trains Malky and Juraku, his only students. The young Malky enters the house, realizes that it is empty, and goes directly to his room. But passing in front of the corridor that leads to the gym, a gust of wind brings to his nose a smell foreign to that house. The boy, at that point, heads toward the training room, enters with caution, and carefully observes the large room to see if there is actually something anomalous. On the wall, in front of him, are the few tools in the possession of the gym. The rest of the room is empty. Two types of signs can be seen on the ground. Those that delimit an area used as a ring. The others are the signs of the hard training carried out by the boys under the guidance of their teacher for many years. Everything seems fine, Malky thinks to himself, and decides to leave. But as soon as he turns, he hears a hoarse voice behind him. Boy. Malky turns around quickly and sees a fist 2 centimeters from his eyes. If I had been an enemy, I would have already defeated you. The boy moves his fist away and sees the face of the attacker, a man with long hair and thick sideburn, with a scar over his left eye. But weren't you gone? Asked Malky. Yes, but I came back, and seeing how I managed to take you by surprise, I think it was the right thing. The man replies, It's better that way. I have something to tell you. I have decided to leave and follow the warrior's way. Still with this story, do you know what life those who follow the way lead? And then I told you that I have reached 100 victorious in the lodge. The boy takes out a small notebook and hands it to him. The man examines the contents, then hands it back to him. Okay, I give you my approval, but you will have to bring this with you, says the man, handing a book to the boy. But half the book is missing. It's been torn. This is the book that contains the secrets of the school. Thanks to these techniques, complete control of the mind over the body is achieved. As one of the successor, you get half of it. The boy takes it. If what that old man says is true, with that book he will have managed to reach the highest level of the art. Thank you, father, Malky says to the man. How many times have I told you not to call me that in training? Then he smiles. Malky goes to his room, leaving his father alone in the gym. Let's hope that his way they won't be able to reach him, thinks Zoram, after which he disappeared into thin air. At first light in the morning, while all of Panji is still sleeping, Marky is already ready to leave, carrying a large backpack on his back. As he walks, he looks around to impress upon himself the city that he would not see again for a long time. He has now arrived at the gates of the city, when he hears a little voice saying, "Why are you leaving?" Malky looks in the direction where the voice came from. It was Atwa. He had a sad look. "What are you doing up at this hour?" the boy asks as he approaches her. "It was Jiraku who told me that you will leave." "Why are you leaving?" the little girl replies. "I am a warrior and I will follow the way." "And who will be our teacher?" "There are some good teachers in the city. Maybe Jiraku will come." "But you're better than—" "It's not true," he interrupts her. "But I won't see you again. One day we will meet again." Before the boy goes away forever, Atwa hugs him, and when she leaves him, he gently takes the little girl's little braid and caresses it, smiles at her, and goes away. Atwa stands there, looking at him as long as she can see him. She's the oldest in her group, the one where Malky taught. She's 12 years old, and she is the best student. Her style could be compared to that of the more advanced students. For some time she had a crush on Malky, and now that he was gone, and she would never see him again, all she was left with was great sadness. While returning home, he puts his hands in her pocket and feels something. When he takes out what he heard, he sees that it is a pendant with a mirror, and behind it an image depicting a sun. An episode that happened a few weeks earlier immediately comes to mind. "What is this?" the little girl asks Maki. "It's a pendant that tells my degree of purity." "And how does it work?" "When I see the same image on both sides, it will mean that I will be pure and strong enough to follow the way." "What is the way?" Atwa begins to look at the pendant to understand how it works. Mark smiles. Then the mirror reflects the sun rays into the little girl's eyes, making her close them instinctively. Atwa emerges from the memories, smiles, put the pendant around the neck, and go home. In the meantime, strange individuals are sneaking into Marky's home. People dressed in dark combat clothes and their face covered in black bandages. They look around, seeing nothing, go up the stairs silently, and arrive in front of the boy's room. Like shadows, they enter inside without making any noise. There is someone in the bed. Apparently, he is still sleeping, they think. The mysterious warrior draw their sword and approach the bed. One of the four pulls away the blanket, but they don't see the boy. On the bed, as they thought, there is Zoram, staring at them with folded arms. "It went badly for you." Having said this, Zoram hits the closest warrior with a kick to the temple. The force of this blow throws him against the wall. Then, with a leap, he gets out the bed and begins to fight against the remaining three. They all try to hit him at the same time, but the warrior priest also calculates exactly the thousands of the daily of 3 attacks, managing to parry them and counterattack. Swords clash against Zoran's forearm, hardened by a lifetime of training, until he reacts and severs their weapons by slashing them with the slash of his hands. The three are amazed by so much power. They try to react, but the difference in speed and strength between Zoram and them is overwhelming. He anticipates them before they complete their attacks, hitting the two at the sides in the face, while the third stops and tries to escape by throwing himself out of the window. Zoram follows him. The mysterious warrior hovers in the air, but after having traveled 6 meters, Zoram recovers him, grabs him, and throws him against the ground with all his power. Then continues his flight, as if force of gravity had no effect on him. Him and cling to one of the trees behind the house. As I expected, thinks Zoram, they tried to kidnap Maki. Even if he left, sooner or later they will find him. I hope he gets away. Then it leaps backward and disappears among the leaves. In a little busy street in the city of Niram, 10 kilometers north of Penji, 4 men have surrounded a boy with a long tuft of hair who has his back against the wall. "Damn their thief," the man shouts. "We told you not to show up in our stores again." "Come on, don't do that," replies the surrounded boy. "I promise I won't do it again. You said it the other time too." "But it's not my fault if you are the best merchandise." "Yes, actually you're right." "Hey, don't try to fool me with these games." At that moment, Maki passes behind the group of men, but none of them notice his presence, only the young thief. "Hey, friend," the surrounded boy shouts. Maki turns toward him and, with a questioning look, points his index finger toward himself. "Yes, you," the young thief replies, struggling. He managed to free himself from the encirclement, and as he approached the young priest, he says, "Help me beat them. 4 against 1 is not fair." Maki waves across the 4 men coming towards them. "Okay," the boy places the large bag he is holding on his shoulder and places his right hand at his side, with the palm of his other hand forward. When they come within range, he launches the attack, hitting one of the 4 with the palm of his hand, throwing him away a few meters. The other boy, meanwhile, starts fighting against 2 of them. His movements are fluid and fast, giving them a hard time. "Hey, bud," he plays the 4th man, when he sees his friend flying away. Then he tries to grab the young priest, but as soon as he holds him in his hands, he finds himself belly up in severe pain on his back, which makes him lose consciousness. Maki performed one of the tricks his father taught him. The young man adjusts his glasses, and as he collects his bag, he sees the other boy finishing his fight by hitting both his opponent with a split in the air. He thinks the guy has very smooth movement despite the long pains. He's also wearing a hoodie. "Wow, what an effort," says the boy, passing a hand over his forehead to wipe the sweat. Maki noticed that he is wearing gloves similar to his that leave his fingers exposed. "Thanks, friend. These guys would have massacred me." The young priest is about to leave, but the boy stops him. "Wow, you're done. Fight 2 people and you don't even break a sweat. Are you professional?" "Maybe," replies Maki. "Hey, if you're part of the lodge, say so." The boy takes out a medallion with the symbol of the Warriors Lodge. "When I saw you fight, in fact, I thought you could be just any thief without offense." "And who gets offended? Actually, would you like a challenge? But we need witnesses." "There's no problem." The boy approached the 4 unconscious men and ties them with a rope taken out of a pocket. "Wake up, guys." After a few slaps, the 4 wake up. "But what did you do there? Damn thief, free us!" they shout angrily. Calm down. You just have to watch our meeting and then I'll set you free. The four accept, growling some insults at the thief. Perfect, says the boy, rolling up the sleeves so his challenger can see that the gloves he is wearing reach up to his elbows. Let the challenge begin. Marky smiles and puts down his backpack again. Did you come to meet? On purpose, my name is Marky. What's your name? I'm Widow. Once the introduction are over, the two boys immediately start fighting. It is Widow who throws the first punches. Even his opponent's expression seems calm. Marky is surprised by his speed and impact power when he stops them with the palm of his hand. The young thief tries with a third punch, but this time Marky deflects him with his forearm, slipping on his glove and counterattack with a low kick, which lifts Widow's right foot off the ground. Taking advantage of this situation, the young priest continues the attack with a powerful shoulder. The boy with the big tuft is pushed, and before his lack of balance makes him fall badly to the ground. With great agility, he lets himself go into a backward somersault. Marky follows him within attack range, and as soon as he gets up, the opponent tries to hit him using his powerful fist. But it doesn't go as so the boy hopes. In fact, it's only thanks to this quick reflex that the young thief is unable to hit him with a kick aimed to his chin. But the young priest recognized the technique. That was a flick. His mind takes him for a moment to think about what his father once told him during training. Zoram is showing his two students some acrobatics. What are all these jumps for? Asks young Marky. Yeah, in a real fight you don't start trailing around, continued the young Jiraku. The master looks at them. Normal people wouldn't be able to use them, but the styles I teach you serves to push the limit. He then performed a backward jump, arching his back, landing with his hands, and then pushing himself off and returning to his feet. This technique is a flick-flack, or back handspring. It can be used to retreat, or dodge, or to attack, or for all these things. Marky sees the boy completed the technique and returned to his feet, then exclaimed, "Not bad." Widow grins, and his right leg comes dangerously close to his opponent's face at very high speed. Marky tried to stop the kick using with only his left arm, but what? The blow is harder than expected, and it almost reached the face. It stops a centimeter away, so it withdraw. The leg start against the side again. Promptly defended by the victim raised knee, and again against his face. This time, however, the boy doesn't just block with his forearm, but block his leg by bringing his other arms outwards, creating a pincher. In the blink of an eye, Marky twists himself, inserting his right foot inside his opponent's left foot, unbalancing him on the ground. Widow breaks his fall by slamming both hands on the ground. The young priest doesn't let him go, and pulling up his opponent's trousers, he discovers the reason for those powerful blows. These are shin guards. Thinks the wearer can kick using more power without worrying about pain. Furthermore, given their hardness, they are more difficult to block. Widow tries to retract, but his opponent twists his foot until he turns badly to the ground. "Are you giving up?" Marky asks while levering the joint. "No." "Ouch, ouch, ouch. Yes, I give up," is Widow's painful response. The young priest helps the boy get up, who, although a little sore, is happy. "You're really strong, friend," states Widow. "Even using my anti-grab glove and shin guards, you managed to beat me." "Why do you use these tricks?" asks Marky, almost naively. naively. I'm not very strong physically. I can only count on agility and speed and cunning. The two approach the witnesses, then the boy continues. And then they are not prohibited by the regulation. You will find many who use those things in even weapons. Mark smiles at the idea of fighting with people stronger than him. The witnesses sign their diaries as per the rules for fight approval by the lodge, after which Malky takes his stuff and heads west. "Wait!" shouts my widow as he approaches. "If you want tonight, you can sleep at my place. I know how tiring it is to travel the way." So Malky accepts, and they head toward the house. While they're walking, the young priest hears something strange. It's not a noise, it's a vibration, a sensation. When he turns the cheek, he doesn't see anyone. Only for a moment, however, he thinks he sees a shadow appear from behind the corner, but he doesn't give it much importance, and so they arrive home. During the evening, Malky gets to know his new friend's widow better, discover that he is 20 years old, and that he too had undertaken the warrior's way a few years ago, but gave up following it after a year. It was too tiring and risky. He had to change city because he couldn't stand the disappointment looks of those who knew him. So he left Nipponia and arrived in this city. He started stealing just to keep himself in training, to test his agility, but lately he isn't so agile anymore and he often gets caught. Now Mike understands the reason for that skill. Only those who train in Nipponia can reach those levels of agility. After eating and talking a lot, they got to sleep. Marky is walking along the road, on either side of which there are two ditches, and further on are the large cultivated fields of Penji. The street is deserted. The boy raises his hand toward the sun, and when he lowers it, he sees his friend Jiraku surrounded by men dressed in black. Marky approaches, notices that the men are kneeling and are in a square he has never seen. Suddenly, from the center of the dark people, a giant cobra raises and began to eat them and destroy the city. But Malky does not move and is not touched. Then the great cobra heads toward him with its jaw open, wide open. The more advanced, the more its speed increases in an instant, and Malky will overwhelmed by the power. In a dark room, someone wakes up, scared, turns the light on the bedside table. It's Atwa, who had a bad dream. It was just a nightmare, she thinks to himself, trying to reassure himself. Marky can't be eaten, and there are no giant cobra. That's absurd. The little girl has a scared look. Not so much because of the nightmare that awakened her, but because of the fear that it could actually happen. He takes out the pendant that Malky left her before leaving from his shirt. And as she turns off the light, she holds it tightly in her hand. And she goes back to sleep like this, clutching the pendant to his chest. The following morning, at the widow's house, everything is quiet. The boy gets up to get prepared breakfast. To get to the kitchen, he has to go down a corridor and past the guest room where Malky rested. As he advances, he notices that the door is open. When he passes, he sees his guest standing upright on one hand, doing push-ups, while holding a book with the other hand. "Oh, hello. You woke up," says Malky, turning to his friend, who, amazed, replies, Yes. Malky smiles. The most difficult thing about this exercise is to not let the beads of sweat fall into the book. Then he comes down from the vertical and puts the book inside the bag. It seems to Guido that the book is very old because it's missing the final cover. Now that I've done the 100 push-up in the morning, I feel better, says Malky, amused by the astonished face of his friend, who tried to ask 100 in total, 100 per arm, obviously. He interrupts. They have breakfast. At the end of this, Malky takes his things and goes toward the door. It was a nice meeting. When we meet again, you will have to be stronger. Remember that. Guido nods, and they greet each other with a wave of the hand. The young thief understands the joy of the departure and the journey on the way, but also the suffering and hopes that his friend will go better than him. But destiny almost never coincides with man's hopes. And that was the first chapter of my first novel that now is translated in English finally. I say sorry for some mistakes I had on reading, and I hope you liked it anyway. You could be engaged, and if you liked it, you can find it in Amazon. Just search for The Weight of the Warrior by Simone Marini, but the link is in the description. And if you like martial arts, you want to train martial arts, remember there's also my Patreon in the Wutao Life or .com or in Patreon Wutao Training, but you will find the link also in the description. And after that, I say always train and train good.